Hello, YouTube. This is the Galley La Podcast and with Akainu Fanboy, Geboss, and today we are going to be reviewing One Piece Chapter 1068, A Genius's Dream. And please like and subscribe if you haven't. So, we get a continuation of the Germa cover story yet again, and I am so sorry about that. But now we have the Germa cover story, and what's kind of interesting, just basically more or less just a continuation of them being angry at each other, fighting. Again, I don't know why they didn't have this reaction to one another when they first met back at Whole Cake, but I guess the Sanji stuff was kind of overriding the whole thing, But yeah, so they seem to be thinking about Vegapunk, and it's pissing them off. Any thoughts?
Yeah. This felt like just more of the previous chapter. Previous chapter's cover story. They just have beaten themselves up a little bit more. But you can see in the background like two other characters that are with Vegapunk, so I wonder if those are going to be foreshadowing anything.
So I thought that was Caesar and Judge, but younger.
I mean, see, at least one of them, they don't even have horns, so I don't know how it could be Caesar. They just look too different. Maybe the one on the right could be Judge, but the one on the left really doesn't look like Caesar, unless he, gave himself goat horns.
Later on in life kind of thing.
Maybe.
And it's interesting how Queen's not in that little bubble either.
Yeah. Maybe
he's on that.
Yeah. Maybe that's when he was skinny. He's hiding behind Vegapunk.
That's true. I think that's very likely.
Yeah.
But also this confirms that Judge has hockey because he's able to injure Caesar.
True.
So to continue on. We have Punk 4 basically, talking to CP0 and saying thank you for returning the Seraphim, and then we see all the sea monsters here. It was interesting to see how quickly, I kind of thought okay, there'd be a chapter where they fight the sea monsters and everything, but they completely skipped over this, and just kind of went straight to the island, which I should have assumed since they have the Kuma Seraphim when you think about it. Why waste your time with this,
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think we got a strict confirmation yet that, oh no, we did with, what's his name? With, Jinbei's Seraphim, with, Senor Pink's Devil Fruit. But yeah. I was going to say that they weren't able to extract different fruits, but it looks like they did.
Right.
With Kuma's, but it makes a little bit more sense with Kuma's because of the fact that Vegapunk had just almost unlimited access to turn him into a cyborg,
right?
But yeah, the Senor Pink one is a little bit more mysterious, but yeah.
F for Senor Pink.
I don't think he's gone, but no one's ever really gone in One Piece. Or in Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, one thought I did on the Devil Fruit point, maybe the Kuma Seraphim will do an Urus's shock, or however you pronounce that, from what he did at Thriller Bark and Marineford, and do some serious damage to Egghead Island here.
Yeah.
And there's still the question of who's going to side with the Jinbei Seraphim is going to side with, because that could be another distraction too, basically. The Stasi see the Jinbei Seraphim is okay, go get him, and then that way it kind of balances out the proportion of power between the Straw Hats and CP0, where it's going to be more of an issue, and we kind of saw how much of an issue where Sanji, Robin, Frankie, and Usopp had to go against him, and we're kind of struggling a bit, So it will be curious to see, and it was interesting to see how I know Lucci's very combative and vicious, but here he's using his brain and he's more intuitive and thinking out of a strategy too, so it was interesting to see the more strategic side of him, because he's usually just kind of like a hired gun,
Yeah. Yeah, not much more to say.
Yeah. So, and it was interesting how those Cypher Pole agents kind of disappeared too. Take with that what you will. And then we also see Kuma teleporting most likely to Egghead Island too, so
Yeah.
probably heavy. Like I said, everything's just moving super quick.
Yeah.
Really quick in this arc, which is like crazy, wasn't expecting it. But what were your thoughts with Vegapunk's conversation with Luffy?
Well, I just want to go back to Kuma really quick. So, yeah, he's probably going to be teleported to Egghead Island, but, I mean, depending on his power, like how far it is, at least with Luffy, when he was sent from Sabaody to Amazon Lily, it took like 3 days to get there. So, I'm wondering if, like with himself, he can teleport faster or anything. Because, like, when he showed up at Thriller Bark initially, he just kind of appeared there. He didn't have a boat or anything.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if it's faster for him or if he's, like, awakened his fruit so that he can do it to himself faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just what I wanted to say on Kuma. But with Luffy's thing, like this whole conversation, it's very Luffy, just accepting Vegapunk to come with him. Not going to be a permanent member. If Vegapunk got put on the crew over over Yamato or Carrot, people are going to riot.
I'd support that.
You just like to stoke the flames of everything.
No.
The flames of hatred.
That's false. I'm not I don't like to throw bombs by any stretch of the imagination. But
No,
I do agree. Luffy is being Luffy here, and especially with him picking his nose, and that's one of my favorite Luffy poses.
Yeah, just dumb Luffy.
Well, no, he's just being, good hygiene and all that. I love when he flicked the booger on the chopper back in Punk Hazard. That was like incredible nose picking. But what were your thoughts though on just like Vegapunk's words though?
I mean, we kind of got this in the previous chapters with like his ideal world that he wants to bring about. And he is, I think his overall goal is very altruistic, giving energy to people. But again, it's just I don't see him really like caring too much about the well-being of overall as long as he gets his stuff done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And Luffy's kind of the same way too. He's like, I'm not a hero.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this to be a good guy.
Yeah.
Which you can kind of debate whether he believes that or not. If his actions follow his words, but that's kind of another thing in general.
So, one thing I did want to bring up is when Vegapunk's talking about how he found out the forbidden history. Is like, after a dear friend of mine died, I found myself diving even deeper into that abyss to further his will. Is he talking about someone else, or is he talking about Clover? Because I know that Sanji's group know about Clover, that relation there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if he's just talking about it with Luffy and his group, or if it's someone that we don't know.
So Clover or maybe Sora. Those were kind of the two that came to mind. Sanji's mom.
Okay. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, and again, like I said, in terms of the recent, quote unquote recent, like past century or two history of One Piece, we only know of a couple figures. Vince Smokes are one. Sora was related to the world government and all that stuff. Germa 66. Sora was the protagonist. Why would Sora be the protagonist unless some connection potentially with Vegapunk? And obviously they would be in proximity to one another. And clearly there seems to be some animosity between Judge and Vegapunk too. And that might be a link of animosity that she liked Vegapunk more than Judge, potentially, So that's kind of an idea there, though. Like, maybe, and we know she's dead, right? So that's kind of like the only way to think of that, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, the Will of S with Saul is coming, so maybe Sora's still alive. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. Right. So, anyways, I do kind of, those are just like kind of my general thoughts there. And then we see Cypher pull up. One thing I did find striking is that Luffy actually remembered the name CP9.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the chapter, he doesn't remember Lucci's name. So...
Yeah. Well, which is common, but like still, for him to remember the name of an organization is impressive for him.
Yeah,
that's all.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So I think we'll get to it later, but I wanted to comment something about Kaku. But let me see. So I guess the next part we go to like Shaka deploying the Seraphim that they have on hand, and S-Snake, S-Hawk, and S-Shark. So I guess they're all based on their namesakes, the Warlord's namesake. So we'll probably get a S-Gecko, S Crocodile, S-Flamingo. And I was also surprised that they're being put under the control of Sentomaru, who I don't think we've seen since the time skip. But we know that he's like the personal bodyguard of Vegapunk, and it makes sense for him to be here.
Yeah, and there was some extent where I think some people would see him as like one of the good Marines, because... and I think really the only indicator was how he showed respect for Luffy when the impersonators came, and he's like, no one as like pathetic as you would be like Straw Hat Luffy, and then he hits them in the head, so like, and we know very little about his character, but that's just like kind of one indicator that he'd kind of be more of a good Marine rather than a bad Marine,
Yeah, maybe.
And well, also like if he's willing to side with Vegapunk over Cypher Pull, like they seem to trust him,
Yeah, I don't know. He was pretty... He went against the Straw Hats pretty hard. I mean, it's like... It's a matter of him being, like, having respect for them versus, like, actually being willing to team up with them.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily arguing that. I'm just saying I'd say, like, if you were to put him on one side of the Navy.
Of the justice scale?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not corrupt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of hard. Maybe like a Fuji in that area, kind of. Maybe a little bit more aggressive than Fuji, but still kind of moral at the end of the day,
Yeah.
But,
maybe.
yeah. So that was interesting to kind of see him reference back here. So I guess he's on the island too,
Yeah, I would maybe expected to have seen him earlier, but we're just kind of blitzing through this arc. So.
Yeah, which makes you think if Sword's gonna show up quickly, too.
Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen. But then we get Bonnie. Vegapunk wants Bonnie to be taken to the lab above the clouds, and then he uses invisibility and pieces out. So. I mean, I guess he has all the research that Judge did. So, or he has something to duplicate the invisible fruit.
Yeah, and I should know this is a Sanji stand, but it isn't entirely confirmed if Sanji still has invisibility or not.
I think it was in an SBS that said that Sanji was moving so fast that he couldn't be seen in the Queen fight, so it wasn't strictly invisibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still technically could be a possibility that he has the ability though.
Yeah. Maybe
later on. Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of what I thought of that right there. But yeah. Then we see the hologram monster. Also. And one thing I thought was interesting with Kaku's character, he's like, wow, this must be a genuine space monster. And he's like, oh, look at this futuristic city. He still kind of has that childish disposition he had at Water 7.
Yeah.
Where he kind of liked to be the hero and liked to be a performance for everybody there at the city of Water 7, you know. He is someone that can like appreciate life and everything and its beauty. He's not like completely a monster, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say Kaku felt really out of character this chapter to me. I don't know. Just his goofiness with like being blown out of the sky and like being mad at Stussy and everything and attacking the thing. He just seemed a lot more level-headed. Like he had his giraffe gag and everything, but he was never this goofy from what I remember.
I think you could say that was his cover character. More goofy, right? Or just jolly. Maybe that's a way of saying it, you know?
Yeah, but once he was like at Eni's lobby fighting Zoro and everyone, it was a lot more serious. And even like when he was interacting with the different Cypher Pole members before the Straw Hats got there, you didn't get... If anything, it was more like Jabra, who was more of a goofier character.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I kind of hope we get to see the rest of everyone, because we got a taste of them in Film Red with Bluno and Khalifa. So
yeah. So would you say is this out of character, or is this character development for Kaku and Lucci? So, because there was kind of that cover story that showed what happened with CP9 right after Water 7 and everything, where the government was trying to hunt them, and they were also becoming altruistic, and they were helping people, you know, and you know, kind of repair the town. They killed pirates and everything.
yeah.
So, and then the government, you know, and then they said, we're going to come and get you. And then they ended up working for the government. So,
yeah. So, yeah, that cover story is weird because, I mean, just based on the end of it, it seems like they were, like you said, they were going to go against the government, like be their own individual faction. But then they get promoted to CP9. Because I thought the whole point was that they, like, Lucci called to quit on them. So, yeah, that's one confusing part for me with that cover story. That's not really addressed. I mean, it's cool to see Lucci, but it's just a weird thing. Like, and like, why would Spandam be part of CP0 when he royally messed up as the head of CP9?
Yeah, maybe he's just kind of like, you know, family connections, and that's how he climbed up a little bit. But he's not the leader of it. But I'm just saying that cover story, I'm not saying it changes their allegiance per se, but I think it may have caused some character development in them. So that's why we see Kaku more goofy and jolly. And that's why we see Lucci actually questioning his mission on why they're going to kill Vegapunk, which he remotely did not do at all in Water 7 with Robin and all that. Complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
So that's just what I mean about character development here. You know,
maybe, but it's hard to really delve into it when there's no dialogue or anything. It's just literally just a thing of images, or a thing of like one panel stories that connect to each other.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of ascribe character development and growth that way.
It is weird too because like with the exception of Crocodile, we haven't seen antagonists brought back. So I know there's the big discussion of how strong they're gonna be because that bringing a former antagonist back to attack Luffy has never happened before because Crocodile didn't attack Luffy.
Yeah.
You know? And Crocodile's character seemed relatively the same. So
yeah, that's what I mean.
We're gonna see, you know, right? So we're gonna see the power aspect this is the first time we're gonna see the power development, and then secondly, there might actually be a substantial character development with these characters too. You know, so yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of shifting allegiances here too. A lot of people are turning on one another. So
yeah,
it's kind of interesting. But what do you think of Atlas's attempt?
It was an attempt. It was it was something. I mean, a Rokogun from Lucci is no laughing matter, especially since he got stronger after the time skip. But I mean, like Kaku said, like when he attacked Atlas, he's like, "Oh, he's showing no mercy." That's the old Lucci we know. Like just killing things.
Right. Of course. Like, he's still vicious, and I think, well, Atlas is, like, I guess you could say she was relatively, you know, stronger than average in the sense that, like, she took a punch from Luffy, kind of shrugged it off, and kind of punched Luffy across. I'm not saying she hurt Luffy, you know, but she has a lot of fortitude, and obviously the tech's going to be strong with her because she's one of Vegapunk's creation, and then Lucci just, it's over, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one aspect I like about Lucci's character. He just, similar to Akainu, he just doesn't fuck around. He just immediately gets the job done.
Yeah, well, when he shows up, stuff gets done.
Because like, there's so many kind of like, you know, gaps in this series when you actually see someone like really, really serious. Then you're just like, oh, whoa, that's just really out of place, you know?
Yeah. One thing really quick that I did want to bring up is, it seems like Stussy has a connection with Egghead Island. Like she's been there before. Like when Kaku goes to attack the hologram, she says, "Don't even bother. It's a hologram." She says, "This takes me back," and she knows about the security feature for when Kaku goes above the clouds and he gets hit back by the laser. So I'm just wondering what her connection to this is, because I mean, she's was one of the underworld bosses, so she has a lot of connections. So yeah, she's very mysterious. Like, she was also the one who took out one of the other underworld bosses at Whole Cake. So yeah,
and which is like a feat, you know, especially if Katakuri's on the crew and you're still able to infiltrate pretty deeply.
Yeah.
Do it, you know. I think so. I'd say there's a consensus with a lot of people in the community that these three are going to all get neg-diffed, just annihilated.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that discussion now.
Right. So with Stussy, just the way she's kind of presented in this chapter and the characterization we got, no. I'm not saying she's going to fight against Luffy, but I think she's going to be a lot more lethal.
Oh yeah.
You know? And she has like a bloodlust too with what she did to oh man, I completely forgot that guy's name from the Whole Cake Party.
Wasn't it Dufeld or something?
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Good.
I only remember that because I've watched the candy escalator scene a bunch.
Exactly. Kaku, the fact that he is acting so jokey and gaggy makes me think that he's actually going to be a threat. I get that aspect from him. And then Lucci, I find it hard to believe for Oda to bring back an antagonist. Like I said, it's never happened before. Just to see him get destroyed by Luffy in the next panel.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting thing because a lot of people in the community are just completely ragging on Lucci, say he's going to get one shot, which I don't believe, because I think we've talked about this before, where Lucci is a prodigy in terms of combat prowess. So he must have gotten stronger in the 2-year time skip. And if he's kept up the same level as Luffy, then he's very lethal. And I mean, we've seen him clash with he's been paired up with Sabo in the movies on like that power level. So
yeah, which makes you think like, okay, if Luffy v Sabo, do you think that's just going to be a low diff fight?
Yeah,
you know, for example. Right.
Yeah, I'm into power scaling to watch people justify their shitty points, like the Zoro fans who think that he's faster than Sanji. But when it gets too toxic, I dip out. But I think there is a discussion to be had here about his power level, but we just need to see more. We're going to be seeing it next chapter.
So do you think he has a stronger attack than Rokogan, since he just used it like right off the bat here?
That's like the 7th like hidden thing for the 6 powers. So
yeah.
Maybe
that was his strongest attack previously, and it took a lot of stamina out of him to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, it all really depends. But I think he's probably got new stuff. And do you think that the rest of the Straw Hats are going to join in this fight, where it's going to be 3-on-10 then? Or
sure. So we have the Jinbei Seraphim potentially and the Kuma Seraphim, right? So think of it this way: where 4 of them had a hard time with one of the Seraphim, and that was an incomplete Seraphim, the Jinbei one.
Yeah.
And the Kuma Seraphim is probably at 100% because that was probably the first one that was made.
Are we gonna get Sabaody 2.0?
I don't know, because it's gonna be interesting. I don't know. Maybe Zoro is gonna have to deal with doing nothing happened again. You know?
Yeah.
But,
it's like, okay, you can't pull that card twice.
One thing I will find interesting. So I think that, and then we have Kaku, and then we have Stussy, and then Lucci. So that's relatively balanced right there. I don't think it's gonna be full drawn out fights. I think Sentomaru interfering or Sword interfering to break up the fight, I think that might actually happen.
Yeah. It's weird because
I do think all the Vegapunk, whatever you want, paths or clones or whatever you want to call them, I think all of them are going to get destroyed though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of the few times where like Luffy's on an island and like his potential allies with like Sword and the Vegapunks and everything outnumber the bad guys. Which is weird to think about, especially compared to Wano, where they made big deals of the numbers.
Yeah, and and I also do think Kaku's gonna clash with Zoro if I have the like if they're already matching up Lucci and Luffy like this, then they're gonna clash, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be on the floor in pain if Kaku does any form of damage on Zoro. I'm just gonna be like done, you know.
Yeah.
He's gonna be hilarious.
Surviving Kaido's attacks and everything, gets injured by Kaku.
Yes. The giraffe fruit overpowers the big mom Kaido power. Yeah. But don't worry, Zoro can just get another pill.
Yeah, Zoro. Remember, Zoro only got back into the fight because of a magic pill.
That's it, and that's all.
Yeah.
You know? But so I think that'll be kind of interesting to see that too. So I don't know. I'm definitely I'm a big Lucci fan, and it would be interesting to see Kaku do that to Zoro, because then Kaku would immediately be in the top 30. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like, this is perfect. It's right before our top 30 stream.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna do at the end of the year. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
And shoot, even Stussy might be out here for all we know.
I actually wonder how many chapters are before the end of the year for us to sneak in power scaling stuff.
Yeah.
Probably like 2 or 3.
And we're gonna have to take a lot of characters off that are dead already, like Kaido, Big Mom, and Law. You know, so we're gonna have to take them off too. So it's definitely gonna be a lot different of a list and everything. So yeah. But anyway, do you have any closing thoughts? Oh, love the chapter. Really excited to see what's happening next week and for some toxic power scaling. Yeah, sure. Any closing thoughts?
Not really. I just wonder how many chapters are going to be left for the power scaling stuff to sneak in. But yeah.
There you go. Very cool. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. Please like and subscribe. This is the Galley La Podcast signing off, and we will see you next week. Peace.
See ya.